And so now I want to get into that guessing game, and I want to add some loops that will make that guessing game a little more useful. So this is where I'd like you to follow along, and I will go much slower than usual. Let me resurrect my, there we go. We can get my code back here. There we go. All right, so starting with this template, let's just walk through it really quick so we know what everything does. We're importing the random module here. We're creating a minimum and maximum that we're going to use in the game. So variables for int min and int max. We're going to welcome the user. And then this line uses the random module and the minimum and maximum numbers to generate a random integer between 1 and 10. So random.randint will generate a random number in the range of these two numbers, putting it into the int secret variable. Next, we're getting input from the user, putting it in int guess. So we're getting guess a number between int min and int max. We're taking that input and immediately converting it to an int. Dangerous move, because if they put in anything other than integer, it's going to cause an error. And then we are using an if, elif, and else to say you guess too low, you guess too high, or you guess the secret number. And then at the very end, we thank them for playing. So we've got possibilities for numerous loops here. The first thing I want to do is I want to tighten up our user input. We're going to force the user to give us valid input before we move on. And here's how we're going to do that. We're going to use some of the things we've talked about previously. But the first thing I want to do is I'm going to unwrap this input, and I'm going to change it to str guess. So now it says str guess equals input, and then it says the same thing here. Make sure you remove the parenthesis at the end, the right parenthesis at the end of it. And it's giving me a little error down here because int guess is no longer defined, but that's okay. We're going to define it in just a second here. And what we're going to do is we're going to highlight 15 and 16 here. So highlight both of them and hit the tab button, just like that. And then on the line above it, I'm going to hit enter so I give myself a little breathing room. You don't have to do that. I'm going to type while true. While true. Just like that. Again, the parentheses are optional. I like them, but PyCharm kind of doesn't like them because it underlines it in yellow. It's kind of like, well, I don't really like this, but I have to go along with it. So next up, why are we in a while true here? Well, guess what we're going to do? We're going to hold the user hostage until they give us what we want. And what do we want? We want an integer. So we're going to test their input, and we're going to see if it meets our qualifications. So we're going to say if str guess dot is numeric, because we're looking for an integer, everything they type should be numbers, right? So if it is numeric, then what are we going to do? We're going to change it to an integer. We're going to say int guess equals int str guess. So if what they put in this is all numbers, is numeric, then we're going to take that string that they entered, we're going to put it through the int function and put it in int guess. And since they did what we wanted and we have what we need, we're going to break at that point. Now, if they don't give us what we want, then we need to print a message and tell them something went wrong. So I'm going to say else here, and I'm going to print, you need to enter a number, and I'll throw a line break at the end of that. Okay, so if they don't enter a number, then it's going to print this. And since it's not going to break out of the loop, we'll just go back and it's going to ask them again, enter a number between this. It's going to keep doing that until they enter a number, and then it will convert it, put it in the variable, and break out of the loop. So here is the while loop. Okay, so let's run the code. So if I run this, welcome to my guessing game. Guess a number between 1 and 10. I'm going to type my name. And then it says you need to enter a number. It's just going to keep going forever because while true is pretty relentless. And then as soon as I enter a number, then it tells me I guessed too low and says thanks for playing my game. So the game now works. And here I have my input function. Now I'm not going to, but after this, before I break, I could check, once I have it converted to an integer, I could actually check to make sure that it's inside my range. I could really crack down on the user and make sure. That would be something, if I was gonna release my game to the public, I would definitely want to do that, because you don't want to say, give me a number between 1 and 10, have them be able to guess 50. That's kind of dumb. So you would, after this line here, you would have another if branch that says, if it is greater or equal to this, and also you use some Boolean here, so you can just do it one line, and also greater or less than or equal to this, then you would break. Otherwise, you make them do it again. But we'll go on. We will leave it at that because that's a big step forward for us. So we're using a loop there. What I'd also like to do is I'd like to give the user multiple guesses. I think that makes it more of a game. Otherwise, they're just guessing and they're like, nah, you're wrong. But if I give them hints and I say too low, too high, and let them guess multiple times, that makes the game a little more fun. So right up here, underneath line 13, I'm going to add some code. I'm going to add int try equals 1. Okay, so we're going to keep track of which try they're on. And then right above this while loop, I'm going to add another while. We're going to put a loop inside a loop. So I'm going to say for this one, while int try is less than or equal to 3, because I want them to have 3 tries. Okay, so I've got int try, and I've got the beginning of a loop. Now I've got to do some indentation. Okay, so I'm going to start selecting at the beginning of this while loop. That's the internal while loop. So the while true, line 18 on my code. And I'm going to select all the way down. I'm not going to get this very last line, but I'm going to select all the way down through, you guess the secret number. Okay, so I'm going to select all that, and then I'm going to hit tab. And that'll indent all of that one space. Okay, so there is that. And then I'm going to hit enter, but so I'm having a line of code right between these two while. And I'm going to say print I'm going to use an F string, and I'm going to say this is, I'm going to throw a line break at the beginning of it, try number, and I'll insert int try there. So now it'll tell them which try this is. Now, it might be nice to tell them how many tries they get, right? It'd be a little bit, I could just say try number blank of 3, but then 3 is hard coded into the whole program. If I'm going to do that, I might as well make that into a variable. So I'm going to say int total tries equals 3. Okay, so I'm going to go up. I like to keep all my big variables together that I kind of start the program out with. These are kind of like settings at this point, because I could change the number, the minimum and maximum numbers. I could change the number of tries they get. So now int total tries is a variable in my code. I'm going to put that right here under int tries less than or equal int total tries, and I'm going to put it here int total try, int try of int total tries. So now this is try 1 of 3, right? When it does the first round. So that's good, but I haven't told it where to increment those tries. And so every time they guess, they're going to get feedback, and then it's going to, right here, int try plus equals 1. So that's going to increment that try. Now make sure that this is indented correctly, right? We want it to be indented one space from the outer while loop. In your code, it should be on the same level as else. If you indent it one this way, then it will only increment if they guess the secret number, which is we don't want. And if you have it too far this way, it'll only increment when the game is over, which would be never, because the game's never going to end if they don't increment their try. So indentation, getting a little trickier here with all these levels. But now let's run this. This is try number 1 of 3. So I'll try 5. And now it says I guessed too low. So it's between 6 and 10. So I'll try 7. Guess too low. I'll try 8. Guess too low. Now, I left the game without finding out what the secret number is. So we probably want to add that down here at the bottom, right? And we want to say print the secret number was, this will be an F string, and int secret. So that makes it a little bit more fun because you find out what the number was at the end, even if you don't get it right. So let's try it again. I'll go with my secret formula, too high, 3. I guess the secret number. Wait a minute. If I guess the secret number, I don't need to play anymore, right? So there's one more thing we need to add to our code, because once we guess the secret number, we don't want to still be playing the game. So what can I add right here? A break. So if I add a break here, then when I guess the secret number, it will let me out of that loop. So let's see if I can guess it again. Too high, 3, too high again. I guessed too high, the secret number was 1. But if I had guessed the secret number, it would have broken out of that loop. And there we go. Now, there's one more loop I want to implement here. Because who wants to play a game like this just one time? And who wants to have to go all the way back up to the top and hit run again just to play again, right? So let's Let's, at the end of this, ask the user if they want to play another round. So I'm going to take this starting here, where the comment where I'm generating the secret number, because each time they play, I want to regenerate the secret number, obviously, and I need to set the try variable back to 1 so that they're starting again. So I'm going to take all of this, and I'm going to select all the way down to this. We won't thank them for playing the game until they actually exit. And I'm going to hit Tab to indent it. And I'm going to scroll back up here above where I said generate the secret number. And I'm just going to say while true here, all the way at the top. And then I'm going to scroll all the way back down. So right there, while true, above generate the secret number. And then here at the bottom, I'm going to ask them that after I tell them what the secret number was, I'm going to put a line break, and then I'll say int again. And I'm going to say input, would you like to play again? And I'll say yes or no. And I'll keep it really simple here. I'm going to say if. I could put another loop here to force them to give me yes or no, but I'm just going to, all I'm going to do is I'm going to look for them to say no. If they say no, I'm going to break it. If they say anything else, I'm going to make them play again. That's what they get for not understanding how to put input properly. So if, and this should be string, sorry, str again. That's not an int, obviously. Str again equals no, then we break. And at that point, it says, thanks for playing my game. If they don't, then we're going to go all the way back up here, generate the secret number, and etc. Now, I might want to put an else here and say print, you have chosen to play again. So it'll do that before it starts over. That's just like a user-friendly kind of message. So now if I run this, the final finished product here, guess a number between 1 and 10. 5, I guess too low. 7, let's go 9. Oh, 8 would have been my other choice. And then it says, would you like to play again? So if I choose yes, then it says you've chosen to play again, and it restarts all over again. But if I do that and I choose no, then it says thanks for playing my game. Okay, so that is a really sort of simple example of how loops inside of loops, along with quite a few if, elif, else kind of statements, can be put together to make a program that functions more along the lines of what we expect from a program like this. So that is there for you, and I will upload the finished code so you can look at it. Once I do this, I will upload it under the same name here. I'll say guessing game finished. It'll be right here in this code. But I have not uploaded it yet, so it won't appear there until after this is done. I'll do it right after the lecture.